And good morning and welcome to another live. Um, please make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's really important to help the channel. Also, um, today we're going to talk with a good friend of mine. She's from the US. She has her own YouTube channel, and I've been going over there for a couple of years. Um, she hasn't been on that much the last couple of months. She's got family obligations. We're just going to talk, when she appears, we're just going to talk about the differences, what kind of supports they have in the US and how accessible they are. And um, I know with the Americans with Disability Act that was introduced in the 2000s, where, you know, shops and buildings have to now be accessible. Like it is here in Australia, which we did that back in the 1980s. So we're just going to do a bit of a comparison. Um, she's not here yet, Chris. Yeah, she hasn't arrived yet. She's probably running a bit late. She lives on her own. Um, yeah, my friend, she goes by Lady Di. I just call her Di. She's led a really active life. She was a police officer, a volunteer firefighter. So she's had a pretty active life, and she acquired a disability a few years ago. Um, but that's not my story to tell. If she wants to tell that story, I'll let her do that. Um, but she's a very strong-willed, independent person. She goes out by herself quite a fair bit. She has a service dog called Snowball. Um, Yeah, so she gets out a fair bit, but I think it's always good to try and compare disability support services between countries. There's been a few other people I've tried to get on the channel, but um, they never seem to respond or are unavailable. Now, I've tried someone from Canada and someone from the UK, but unfortunately, as yet, I've yet to talk to them. They've yet to respond, but hopefully one day they will. Um, Now, yesterday, while I wait for Di, on LinkedIn, there was a, a post that somebody put up about complaining about support workers using toilet paper and uh, participants not getting reimbursed. And I was sitting there and I thought, oh my God, haven't we got more important things to worry about than toilet paper? There are a lot of people out there still screaming out for basic services, and people are worrying about toilet paper. You know, how are you going to measure how much toilet paper should be reimbursed? Forgive the pun, but what are we going to do? Have a logbook just for toilet paper? It's ridiculous that there's people who've lost $80,000 out of their core supports. A friend of mine lost $50,000 from his core supports. Another friend of mine lost all of her funding without any explanation from the NDIS. They just took it. And this person has progressive MS. They're the important issues, not bloody toilet paper. I mean, come on, George. You're on the IAC. There's a lot more important things to talk about than toilet paper. How are you going to measure it? If it's one ply, two ply, three ply, four ply, how many squares they use. Can they spare a square, or they don't have a square to spare? You'd think someone that's so supposedly so highly educated, a PhD, a graduate of the AICD, this is what's important to you? Toilet paper? Way more important things to concentrate on and try to fix. Do your job, George. If you can't do it, step down, let somebody else in who can do it, who wants to do it. I mean, absolutely shameful. I mean, you put up a cartoon and degraded support workers, call them bum wipers. All they had to do was wipe bums and cut up carrots, and you showed a cartoon that denigrated people with disabilities and support workers. Then you put a post up yesterday about participants on the NDIS not getting reimbursed for the toilet paper that the support workers use. What's the fixation? I don't understand it. There's much more important things to concentrate on and try to fix. What the hell are you doing? You got nothing better to do? Absolutely shameful, George. You really are shameful. You know, if you're fixated on support workers being bum wipers and toilet paper, then maybe it's time you stand down, walk away, because you're really not representing anyone. Maybe the manufacturers of the toilet paper, I don't know. But why are you so fixated on toilet paper? People are losing. One 18-year-old kid whose mother asked for a piece of adaptive technology on his hoist to weigh him when they transfer him from the bed to the chair. The NDIS person decided to do a review, reduced his core funding by $80,000, and he was going out 6 hours a day for 4 days a week. That was reduced from 24 hours down to 4 hours. A good friend of mine lost $50,000 from his core funding. They're important issues. That young lady who went from being fund managed to self manage, bought things that she shouldn't have bought, had to pay back $27,000, couldn't do it. She ended her own life. That's an important issue, not toilet paper. You get over yourself, George. Stop fixating on toilet paper. Shameful. I think it's time you resigned. You're not my representative. I don't want you representing me and my needs. I've got all the toilet paper I need. I'm not complaining about it. Absolutely shameful, George. Absolutely shameful. You at the Senate inquiry, you had Bill Shorten and other people say people won't have their core fundings cut. And they said it's not happening and it won't happen. Well, it's happening. And what are you, as part of the IAC, doing about it? We never hear from any of you. So I'm calling you out, George. I'm sick to death of these post that you put up on LinkedIn that is so irrelevant, toilet paper, compared to people losing core funding and people dying for God's sake, and you're fixated on toilet paper. Get over yourself. Step down, resign, walk away. You're not my representative. I don't want you representing me at all. And I know there's a lot of other people out there who think the same way I do. They've been contacting me. So, you want another important issue? On the news the other day, there was an 86-year-old man who'd fallen over and hurt himself and he's on morphine and he can't get aged care. So he's decided to use the end of life option because he doesn't want to live the way he is. So why aren't people over the age of 65 entitled to go under the NDIS? Just because you're over 65 doesn't mean you can't acquire a disability. You're a fool, George. This poor man is trying to end his life because he can't get care. And if I was on the IAC, I'd be pushing that people over 65 who acquire a disability to get on the NDIS. That's what I'd do. I'd be fighting to ensure that people don't get their core funding cut or services cut because the government wants to save money. I'll be fighting for people so they don't end their own lives because they made a mistake. That's what I'd be fighting for, not toilet paper. That's why I keep harping on about the IAC should be elected, not appointed by the minister, by Bill Shorten. As far as I'm concerned, these are all brown nose and lick spittles. Doing whatever Bill says. I've seen the interviews with him, and I have to say, very well rehearsed, and I'm really glad you swapped bloody questions and answers, because that's what it looks like to me. Not just for Bill Shorten, but senior management of the NDIA, that Rebecca Fortningham, very well rehearsed. It looks like he's all collaborated and wrote the questions and answers out and shared them. I don't do that. But someone like me would never be picked by the government to be a representative on the NDIA board or the IAC. Because I'd be fighting for the rights of people with disabilities, whether it's their policy or not. I'm not always 100% right, and when I'm wrong, I put my hand up and I admit it. I don't hide behind social media. I express my views and opinions like I'm doing now. And if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. But on this point, I'm not wrong. I challenge Bill Shorten, Rebecca Fortingham and the senior management of the NDIA put me on the IAC or on the NDIA board and see how I go. Because I will fight to ensure that everyone is treated fairly and as an individual. I've been making sure that people wouldn't lose their core funding. People won't be ending their own lives over the NDIS. Like the Labor government goes on about the robocalls with Centrelink that the Liberal Party did that caused so many people to end their own lives. There's no difference between what the Labor Party is doing with the NDIS and forcing people to pay back money they can't pay back to what the robocalls did. No difference. And what are you doing about it? What's the IAC and the NDIA board doing about it? Never hear from you. Never a public comment. Never go on TV and make statements condemning the government. I've seen you do your boohoo story, look at me, at the Senate inquiry. And I can tell you I wasn't impressed. You're not the only one with a disability. There's hundreds of thousands of other people, millions. And a good representative tries to put their self in other people's shoes to try and imagine what they're going through. I don't know what it's like to be a quadriplegic. I have friends that are quadriplegics and paraplegics. And I had a good friend that had cerebral palsy. I don't know what it's like to have those disabilities, but I can try and empathise and support them. Because all you want to do is fixate on toilet paper, for God's sake. How are you the independent chair of every Australian counts when you fixate on toilet paper? Absolutely shameful. Shameful behaviour. George Teleporis, resign from the IAC. You're not my representative. And there are a lot of people out there saying the same thing. I've just had a gut full of it. All your silly little posts on LinkedIn. Yes, I've been profiling you, just like the Summer Foundation has been looking into me as well. I don't care. I have nothing to hide. Nothing to hide. I stand by what I say. I'm expressing my views and opinions, just like you're allowed to, according to the chairperson of the IAC. So where do we go from here, George? You're going to keep focusing on toilet paper, or are you actually going to do some work? and be a true representative. Shameful. Absolutely shameful. As Di come up. No. Oh, we're still waiting from the lady from the US. She's obviously running late. Until check the email, so she's responded. No. Yeah, I seen on LinkedIn yesterday about that 86-year-old man who's decided to opt to end his own life because he can't get the care and support that he needs. I mean, this is absolutely shameful. This man has worked his whole life. He's paid his taxes. He's done everything he was supposed to do. And what happens when he gets old? Everyone turns their back on him. Not just him, but there's tens of thousands of other people in the same situation. That is absolutely shameful on all of our society, every part of the community. And when I heard him talking, I thought, what a well-spoken, articulate man. Maybe if he got the care and support that he needs, he could enjoy his life. He may hit the 100-year-old mark. You don't know. Imagine what it's like for his children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren to see this poor man in so much pain with no care. And choosing to take that option of ending his own life using that state service in South Australia. Well, I hope after that article, whatever government's in charge down in South Australia are shamed into action. Because that's, I think, the only way we can actually get the government to do things is shame them into action or wait until there's an election coming up and they make all these promises that they probably won't keep anyway. You know, you look at the Queensland government, they've got an election coming up. Labor Party's been in control up there for decades. Crime's rampant. There's so many problems in Queensland. And what's the government do? Oh, we're going to provide lunches for primary school kids at a cost of like $1.4 billion. And we all know they won't do it. They'll renege out of it. Oh, things didn't work out. The books didn't balance, so we can't afford to do it. It's like when Melbourne opted out of the Commonwealth Games. I'm just sick of the lies. The lies from the government, false fake promises, or they use public money to buy their way into power. I thought bribing people was illegal in this country. But what do we do? What options do we have? We can only vote governments in and out once every 4 years. Oh, unless they decide to change the leader at any time. Both parties do it. Maybe it's time for a coalition of independents to get together and form a government. Maybe we as the people should be picking one person to run the country. So one person's responsible, not one party. Because when you have a party of people running a country, they always shift the blame to somebody lower on the ladder. Well, I don't think Di's going to turn up today by the looks of it. So I'd say something's happened. What time is it, Chris?
It's 26 past 10.
Oh, well, it's been here for half an hour and Di hasn't turned up. So I'd say she's not going to turn up, unfortunately. I was really looking forward to catching up with her. She's a lovely lady. But yeah, we might just end it there. There's no questions or anything, comments? No, nothing. All right. Well, I think we might end it there for today. Yeah, it doesn't look like Di's turning up. So, yeah, once again, George, get over the toilet paper, resign from the IAC and let somebody else in there that wants to represent people with disabilities. I think from memory, you get paid $75,000 a year. Is that right?
Well, I think there's on a daily basis. The heads get
how much. Okay, so they get $1,000 a day. Yeah, when they do actually do something, they get $1,000 a day. But if I was on the IAC, I'd be reaching out to different groups, reaching out to individuals through LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, whatever I could. But I'd never get picked because I say what I think. I stand up for what I believe in. All right, we might just end it there today. My apologies for Di not being here, but we'll just end it there for today. Thanks, Chris. All right, thanks everyone. See you.